It's 5 a.m. on the first clear morning in a week. It's quiet. It's cold. It's empty. There isn't any excitement or anticipation in the air this morning. It's just air. And only those with something to gain or maybe something to lose are moving under the fluorescent lights this morning. Some are going to hike, others to climb. Some are simply positioning themselves for the day. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting into position to catch the first wave of sunlight on the Matterhorn and watch it transform from a wall of stone and ice into a pillar of fire. The train ascends the mountain from 5,000 feet to 6, 7, and eventually 10,000 feet. And with each mile and minute, we are racing the rotation of the Earth. We're just a few steps behind in the race. The trees hide it, and the tree line finally breaks, and it's happening right outside of the window. And we keep climbing. There's still more to come. Recently, Hasselblad sent me the X2D Mark II, their new flagship camera, and the 35-100E lens. This camera is the absolute opposite of what I usually choose for my photography. It's packed with tech. It's multiple times bigger than what I typically carry. The file sizes, they're huge. And what I'm trying to figure out right now is it worth it? Today we are talking about the Hasselblad X2D Mark II. And everything I'm going to say today is approaching this camera and this whole system for the very first time. I have never had an X2D, a 907, no digital medium format before. In fact, when I think of Hasselblad, I think of this. This is a 500 cm. This camera is like 70 years old. This to me is a Hasselblad. This is today's Hasselblad, and I'm very excited to tell you all of my impressions as a first-time user to this system. I am a photographer that is all about the experience of photography. And the very first thing I want to share with you is about the experience of using this camera. When I took it out of the box, the first thing I noticed was how good this camera felt in my hand. And I'd heard it talked about before that the grip on this camera is about as good as a camera can get. And I'm going to affirm that. Like, the grip on this camera, it's pretty unreal. This is a camera I can easily hold with 2 fingers and move it around as you're seeing right now. No problem whatsoever. I'm trying to spin my hand as much as I can. Here we go. I'm gonna step back here so you guys can see a little better. 2 fingers, guys, and like the grip, this grip is solid. It is the best grip I have ever used on a camera. So right there, that very first thing, that was impressive to me. And then turning the camera on and taking a look just at the menu when I set it up, it doesn't get much more elegant than this menu system. The fonts that they use, like, it is just clean. It is beautiful. It looks amazing. Setting up the menu, I mean, you know, cameras don't always have the greatest reputation for developing good menus, but I mean, this one right here, again, guys, fantastic experience. Just holding the camera, using the menus, getting into all the settings of the camera. Setting it up was just a joy. Love that experience on the front end. When I took it out to shoot for the very first time, and again, like, I never had the X2D, so I didn't even know this was an issue before, but just having a joystick on the back, you know, especially for autofocus, having a joystick to move that point around, it's pretty nice. Cameras that don't have things like this, I don't think I would ever use, because, like, as someone that mostly uses manual cameras, when I want to use autofocus or when I plan to use autofocus, I want to use autofocus and I want it to be efficient and fast and easy to use. The button layout, It's what you would expect on the camera. You've got your front dial, your back dial. You can customize those to whatever you want it to be. You have a button whenever you press the joystick. There's a button underneath of it as well. Like, you've got all the custom buttons that you possibly could want to set up a camera like this for how you want to use it. And all of that is fine and well, because if you're using a camera like this, you're going to do your own setup to what makes sense for you. And I know what I'm about to share is not revolutionary to cameras, but on a camera like this, where you're shooting a digital medium format, and we're going to talk about the medium format part in a few minutes, I absolutely love the flip down screen. Like, I love shooting waist level, especially when it comes to medium format cameras. If I was to show you my Hasselblad 500cm, this is a waist level camera. It's meant to be shot waist level, and you're looking through the viewfinder from the top down. So having a flip out screen in a camera like this, it's pretty awesome. I really enjoyed the process of flipping the screen down and shooting it waist level like I would with any other of my medium format cameras. So as we talk about the experience, it really is a great experience. I wouldn't say it's like a revolutionary experience, because many of the things I just described exist on other systems as well, but it's nice to have it on a system like this, where I think in prior iterations, some of these systems didn't exist. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is actually the autofocus. Now, I'm somebody that doesn't really ever use autofocus. I shoot manual lenses on manual cameras, but this camera has groundbreaking LiDAR autofocus, something that, as far as I know, doesn't exist on any other camera system. If we think about the stages of autofocus, we have contrast, which is kind of like phase 1 of autofocus, and you have phase detect, which is like phase 2 of autofocus. I think LiDAR is a brand new type of autofocus. We've seen it on DJI products before, but this, having it built in, it's pretty freaking cool. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I'm not somebody that is going to ever utilize the max autofocus capabilities on a camera like this, because the type of photography that I do doesn't necessarily need that stuff. But when it comes to the efficiency of pulling the camera up, locking it in on whatever your subject is, and for me, like in Como, it was various things that I was shooting out in the rain. Then around Tune, it was like a guy on a lake in a boat in the mountains. And then at the Matterhorn, I'm literally taking photos of the Matterhorn, which is really far away. The snappiness of the autofocus meant that I got this shot. The autofocus was impressive to me as somebody that doesn't really use autofocus. Having it in a system like this and seeing how snappy it is, it's pretty great. The biggest thing that I noticed regarding the tech that is in this camera is the IBIS. Now, as somebody that shoots mostly manual systems that don't have a lot of tech, IBIS hasn't ever really been on my wish list for those cameras. IBIS doesn't exist on old film cameras. It doesn't exist on Leica manual M cameras. IBIS just has never been on my wish list. Now, I'll also admit, I don't have the most steady hands. If I was to hold my hand up to you, and you're not gonna be able to see this, but I'm a little shaky. No matter what I do, I just really never shoot less than 2x the focal length. So when I'm out shooting like a 28, I'm never gonna go below 1/60 on that 28. If I'm shooting a 50, I'm never going below 1/100. And that's the bottom, and that's even like risky whether I'm gonna get the shot or not. I typically will always choose a higher ISO with a faster shutter, because I'd rather have a noisy photo than a blurry photo. But with the IBIS in this camera, I shot pretty slow at fairly low ISOs, and they're tack sharp. Which, again, knowing myself, knowing that as I've gotten older, I'm just not as stable. I drink a lot of espresso, so probably more than I need to. I have shaky hands, but I had no problem shooting this camera down to 1/40th. And for me, I would never shoot 1/40th at any focal length, maybe 1/60th if I was really like sniper breathing, but I shot down to 1/40th on this, and it's tack sharp. I took photos from a moving train of the Matterhorn. The photos I showed earlier, that was taken from a moving train at like 1/60th of a second, and it's tack sharp. Now, I don't know how often I'm gonna be grabbing photos while I'm moving on a train on this camera, but it was good proof that the IBIS does its job really well. 5-axis, 10-stop in-body stabilization. My experiences, they validate that this stuff works and works really well. Okay, I've been holding the camera this whole time. I'm gonna put it back down now. Now, one thing that I've constantly heard from buddies that shoot the X2D system is the files, the dynamic range, the color, like it's like king in all of those categories. When I began to pull these files off the camera, put them in Lightroom, and start playing with them, yeah, this thing gets the crown for sure. The amount of retention that is in both the highlights and the shadows, it's pretty impressive. These are some high dynamic range scenes that I was shooting. You know, we've got the mountain lit up in mid-morning light, and we've got deep shadows where the mountain is not lit up, like where I was standing, and yet all the information is there, both in the highlights and in the shadows. Now, I wasn't overcomplicating the exposure. I was just shooting it at 0, wasn't overexposed, wasn't underexposed, but the ability to recover highlights or just put them where I want them, the ability to push the shadows where I want them, very impressive. But even more impressive was the colors right out of the camera. Look, I'm an editor. I always edit my photos. I have a style that I like to edit with. I'm not a straight out of the camera guy. When I was coming down the mountain on the train, I downloaded the photo and I just thought to myself, this is good enough. I don't need to edit this thing. And I sent it on to my friends and I was just like, guys, like, look at this. The colors right out of the camera, they are quite impressive. They're probably the most true to real life, like true to how I was experiencing things than I've ever shot on any system before. And I know that lenses play a big role in coloring photos. You've got the color science that the companies choose on how they process the data on the sensor. And then you've got the lens as well. This system here, whatever they're doing to create like very true to life, real world, realistic photos that have that like very human color, it's impressive. So all the rumors about the Hasselblad color science and what happens out of this camera, those rumors, they're very much true. So all in all, the things I just listed, they were the things that rise to the top. I mean, of course, there's all these other features this camera has and things about it that, you know, make the list for others. But the things that I just mentioned, they rise to the top for me and how I use this camera. Again, found those things to be just fantastic. Now, I mentioned earlier that I like to shoot medium format film cameras, and these are medium format in reality. We basically have 3 types of film photography. We've got your regular good old 35. I mean, you could also say half frame exists today again, but we'll just stick with 35 millimeter film. That's your typical, get a little canister, put it through your camera. Then you've got medium format, which can be anywhere between a 645, which is a little bit bigger than a 35, not much bigger, but bigger. Then you've got a 6x6, a 6x7, and those are your medium format film types. Then you've got large format, which starts at 4x5 and just gets bigger from there. Those are massive, massive negatives. I just did a shoot recently at a vintage thing using all of those. You can check out that video. I'm gonna link it right above. I pulled out some medium format film. Let's take a look at this for just a minute. This is a 6x6. It's also considered a 1x1 crop. Lock into your mind the size of the negative. This is true medium format. If I was to take off the lens from this camera and we just take a look at the sensor, there's quite a difference between the size of a medium format strip of film and a medium format digital sensor. So why is this important and why am I philosophically bringing it up? While we certainly can say that this is bigger than a 35 millimeter, a full frame sensor, it isn't quite where a medium format film camera would be. It's smaller than a 645. The phrase medium format, it's medium format digital if this is as big as we can get digitally. And why that matters is because medium format has a look to it. There's a certain type of fall off that happens whenever you are imprinting on a big negative. It's a look that really can't be replicated in 35 millimeter film or on a full frame camera. I don't see it being replicated on a camera like this either. The sensor is just not big enough. And if I want that medium format look, I don't think this camera is going to deliver that, at least maybe not with this lens, the 35-100, which goes to f2.8, which I believe is like an f2 on a full frame equivalent. But I'm just like not convinced that I'm gonna get that same type of medium format film look on this medium format digital camera. And that would be true of any of the X2D cameras, the current generation, the older generations, the 907. It would also be true of any other brand that uses the phrase medium format for digital when it's in fact just not quite big enough of a sensor to give you that same fall off you're going to get on, say, like a Rolleiflex, a Hasselblad, a Pentax, like all the older medium format film cameras that existed in prior generations. So I do think it's a bit of a stretch to call this camera medium format, though it is medium format digital, but the implication that it matches or may match, like if you didn't know better, you might think if I buy a medium format digital camera, it'll give me a medium format look. And I just don't think that's the case. So I will say that could change with different lenses and as I try different things, different lighting, different subjects down the line. So I'm gonna be open-minded about it. But my first impression is that it's high resolution, but I don't know if it's medium format. I asked the question, who is this camera for? Like, given everything that I've experienced, is it for me? And yes or no, who else would it be for? I believe this camera is for a photographer that has vision for what they are doing and requires precision to go do that thing. This is not a walk-around camera that you're gonna take out as your travel camera. You're just like walking around, oh, let me see this image, boom, let me bust this off. I don't see it being for that kind of photographer. I would say if you have a vision, like a lot of landscape photographers, like I love to do, there's vision involved. You have a sunrise or sunset time. You predetermine your location. You have this idea of how you are going to compose. You get there, you set up, or you explore the scene, you get ready, and you wait till the perfect moment to fire off the shot. That would be like a vision-focused shoot. And for that kind of scenario, this is a fantastic camera and system. So in the beginning, I asked the big question, is it worth it? I think the answer is yes. This is a very great camera system to include in my kit. I'm actually really excited to try another lens. This is just a monster of a lens, and while it is crazy good, sharp, edge to edge, it's beautiful, everything about this lens is flawless. Like 35 to 100 is essentially a 28 to 75. So it's a one and done lens. It gives you everything that you want. I'm just a sucker for primes. I'm a sucker for low f-stops, wide open apertures, and smaller lenses. And this thing, it's a beast. But do I plan to get rid of this lens? Heck freaking no. Like, if I'm working out of the back of my car, out of my Pelican case, if I'm working in a studio setting or something like that, this is an incredible lens. But just have something to throw over my shoulder and carry. I think I'm gonna find myself looking for something like the 38V, maybe the 55V. I'm excited to try one of those lenses on this system. This is a very worth it system if you do the type of photography that I do. And if you're unfamiliar with the type that I do, you can check out my links below. You can see the things on my website, Instagram. I am into experience-driven, slower-paced photography. And so for those reasons, the X2D Mark II feels like a really great fit for the work that I do. And I'm really stoked to keep using it and see what comes out of it. And we'll eventually get to a long-term review when I know this system so much better. But I wanted to make this video on the front end and explain to you what it was like taking it out on its very first adventure, very first shoot. And I'm happy to report back a very positive experience. So I hope you found this video helpful if you are considering this camera or you're just doing some research and seeing how it might work for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.